We have some drama between two VTubers, with one VTuber making a doc about the other and the other person then going live to tell their side of the story. So all this started with a tweet made by user Killer Saw Gaming, who goes by Killer Saw. They wrote, "This has been in the making for 2 years. Deathblooms must be held accountable for her actions. This is mine and others' experiences with her." And they made a Google Doc. It reads, "The truth about Deathblooms. Introduction. My name is Killer Saw. You might not know who I am, but I hope this doesn't make you discount the things I'm about to share with you about the VTuber known as Deathblooms. This has been a document that I have been putting off making for a very, very long time. I have wanted to come out about my experiences with Deathblooms since around August 2022. I initially did not want to make a statement about my negative experiences with her, as I felt like it was a personal drama that I had to deal with on my own and would rather keep to myself so I could move on. I also put this document off due to fear of me potentially being harassed by members of her own community. With the recent knowledge I have gathered over the course of the past 2 years, I have no choice, as now I know I am not the only victim." I do also want to add, too, that a lot of people tend to have the notion that, oh, this person came out late with the document, so they were just hanging on to it, or like they were waiting for a moment. A lot of times there's many reasons as to why people don't speak up about the things that have happened to them for multitudes of reasons. Many of it being, once during the moment that it happened, it's too traumatizing for you to sort through your feelings properly to put it into a document. Two, again, fear of backlash, especially if there is a size discrepancy between you and the other party that is involved. So I personally don't like the notion of blaming people for taking a while to come out with their stories. But I digress. Killer continues, "Disclaimer. The purpose of this document is to create awareness and hold Deathblooms accountable for her actions. This is not a witch hunt. This is her victims telling their stories. So please be respectful and do not harass anyone. This includes Deathblooms. Additionally, the evidence gathered is sparse. It's difficult to get a lot of ironclad accounts because getting a hold of victims have been hard, and a lot of conversations happen in voice call. I don't want this to be a he said, she said situation, but all I can do is ask everyone to read this document carefully and make up their own mind." On to the allegations. "Deathblooms has used multiple male VTubers, including myself, in order to cheat on her potentially former partner. At no point has she fully disclosed or told the entire truth about the circumstances of her relationship. She did this so she could get sexual favors out of people. During our flirty interactions, she never once gave me any indication she was poly or any form of non-monogamous." I do like this note as well because I do feel like people who read this document might immediately jump to that assumption. I would too, I'm gonna be honest, right? I personally am not poly, I'm monogamous. But I would state that if there is a situation, person is poly and in a relationship with another partner, and they're potentially looking to bring on a third, that the potential third person should be aware of this dynamic. And I feel like it's disingenuous to withhold that information should it be true. And according to Killer, there was no indication that Deathblooms was poly or non-monogamous in any way. So Killer continues, "My experience. How do I know this? Back when Deathblooms and I had periodically been very flirty and intimate online with each other, she was allegedly living with a roommate. I was led to believe she had dated for only 2 months. I was led on constantly by her as she kept insisting she wanted to date me and would leave her bad relationship, but kept me at arm's length at the same time. I started to get suspicious, so I had a friend look into her to try to see if my suspicions were confirmed. My friend ended up having a call with Blooms where they found out that she'd been dating her partner for almost 3 years. This is the conversation after the call. And this conversation happened August 13th, 2022. Yeah, that's what I've been confused and conflicted. She told me they were only dating for 2 months. Redacted says, what? She told me they have been dating for 3 years. He's half German. They are visiting his family in Germany. I don't think she lied to me because she has no reason to, so she lied to you." Deathbloom writes, "Afterwards, my friend would inquire about another person to gather more context, and they would come to find out this person was another victim of hers. So this happened a day later on August 14th. Redacted writes, talking to you right now, sorry, because there's two people. He and Blooms were apparently flirting about 8 months ago and talking about dating, but never actually dated, and he dislikes her a lot too." Killer writes, "Afterwards, I decided to cut ties with Deathblooms. She would try to get answers out of me by contacting me on every platform. After many attempts, she sent me this last message on Discord." Deathblooms writes, "I don't know what I did to you that you're ghosting me. I'm sorry if I've hurt you, but I wish you well and good luck with your donathon. This was one of the worst experiences of my VTuber career and left me genuinely scared to interact with other streamers. I genuinely liked her at the time and thought that we could have a relationship. While that might have been naive, I felt valid in faulting her for purposely leading me on in order to stroke her own ego. It took a lot of effort from friends to help get me back to a place where I felt comfortable getting close to others again. Deathbloom's partners and other victims. An anonymous source has shared with me several victims of Deathblooms who have all agreed to remain anonymous for the sake of this document and therefore have been censored. Even if you can figure out who these people are, I encourage you not to contact them or spread their names around. Their accounts are incredibly important for this document, and they are very brave for sharing their experience and agreeing to have them made public. These screenshots reveal a history of sexually manipulative behavior and unprofessionalism. They also indicate several instances where Deathblooms has cheated on her partner or has led people to believe she has no partner. Note the dates as well. These posts are all made on a public Instagram account that is owned by and linked to Deathbloom's other other social media accounts. It takes surprisingly little effort. So here is the first post. It is of them almost kissing. And this post was made November 15th, 2020. And the caption basically says, I never knew that on this day a year ago, you would step into my life, changing my reality, potentially a 1-year anniversary post, or just maybe a 1-year meeting post. Another post of Deathblooms and their partner as well. Happy New Year 2021 from their partner and them. And their partner's name is Darcy. And I will state this due to the fact that Deathblooms has revealed this themselves on their own stream. Here is another photo of Deathblooms and their partner. This reads, Happy New Year 2023. I may potentially censor this, but Deathblooms has also revealed their face on their own Twitter account. And this one reads, Happy New Year 2023. Another year added to our story. And I will go through all the ups and downs this upcoming year has to offer. I love you, Darcy. And here's more posts of them together. And this is from their EU trip. Killer writes, This is Darcy and the Mage, Deathbloom's partner of 4 years. Again, all of this is public on her Instagram account, but I decided to censor the name as a safety measure. On top of that, Darshan has made appearances on Deathbloom's streams before, so his name is not entirely unknown. He's even been in a facecam stream in 2021. Killer continues, while the Instagram account is not incredibly active, Bloom still posts here from time to time. Her latest posts were made in August 2024 and have been liked by Darshan, indicating that they are still together. But even if they are not, the dates show that they have been dating during the time she's been leading on other people. Now on to the victims. Anonymous victim number 1. This is probably the most important one, as Blooms has specifically expressed to this person that she would leave her partner for him. The evidence was gathered in October 2023, but this person's time with Deathblooms happened in May 2023. So here are their DMs together, and this conversation happened May 30th, 2023. Blooms writes, Me, short chubby me, hun, I'm always gonna be around, I'm yours. And Anon one writes, Yes, shorty, lil you. And I know we will always be close, but you are still unsure. That worries me. Not nearly as much as my house or moving, but it piles up. Or the fact that my effing car just died, lol. Bloom writes, I'm sure it's the batteries. Anon writes, maybe. Bloom writes, we're fine, we're gonna be fine, and I so want your toy to be here. Anon writes, I am so stressed I have not been horny at all, because my head still hurts. And Bloom writes, alright, I won't ask for smexy time then. And this is a day later, on June 1st, I do want you in my life. I wish I could just instantly leave everything behind and be there. Anon says, you can't though, and that's what you need to figure out. Bloom writes, for now, I can't because I need time. And Anon says, how do you want to be? So take that time, use your mind. Bloom says, I will ask for a last time. And Anon says, find what you want, and once you're done with all of that, I'll be here waiting as a friend, like I said before. And Bloom says, if you don't mind me asking, and Anon says, make it quick, I need to lay down. Bloom writes, all right, if I break things up, are you sure you want us? Anon says, it's up in the air. You should figure out if you want to break up first. Don't think about me. You need to handle your boy first, and foremost, don't use me as a tool to break off with him. And Bloom says, I am not using you, and Anon says, take the time to understand what you want. Bloom writes, please listen to me. I have feelings for you, and it's genuine, and it's a big step for me to leave everything behind. My family, my country. Are you sure you want us? I will do what's to done with this month. Oh, sorry, the screenshots are out of order. So this screenshot that we're now seeing is a screenshot that actually happened in between the 2 days. So Anon says, do you not want to continue being friends? I am sorry you feel that way. Why are you deleting messages? Bloom says, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not okay. I haven't felt this way for a long time. It's stupid. Anon says, I still want to be friends, but I understand if you do not. Bloom says, redacted, we just need to wait until we meet. That's all I asked. I told redacted, and earlier everyone in the call made fun of me leaving. The screenshots jump forward again, so we're now back in June 1st. So they're a little bit out of order, but they all happen over the course of 2 to 3 days. Anon says, only time will tell, and Bloom writes, but I want closure. Anon says, you're not the only one here. I had feelings as well. I am not asking you to leave everything. Bloom says, I know. Anon says, I'm telling you to figure out your issue. Bloom says, and I will. Anon says, once you figure it out with Dart, then talk to me. Bloom says, I'm tired of lingering in limbo. Anon says, I will be your friend until then, nothing more. I know who I am, what I want, and where I am going. Once you do the same, let me know. I am happy we met, and that's what I want to stay friends. So I hope you have a great time on your trip and stay safe until then. I do have to say here too, if Blooms is in a position where they are planning to leave their partner or they're thinking about leaving their partner, this does leave this situation in a very messy gray area. This is just me throwing in my 2 cents, right? I've been in a fair amount of relationships. This could potentially be emotional infidelity. It could be more because they did allude to sexy time, right? And the way they wrote it, like, oh, I guess no sexy time, implies that there has at least been more than one occasion of it prior to the time of that conversation when they were still with their partner. Again, whether it's potentially cheating or not, that's only between the 2 people in the relationship, Blooms and their partner, Darcy, right? If it were me in my relationship and I saw this conversation on my boyfriend's DMs, it is over. That's just me. But I do want to acknowledge that it does sit in a kind of gray area here. And personally, I feel like if you are in a scenario where you're not happy with your current partner and you're catching feelings for another person, you should do the due diligence and either 1, one, tell your partner about this so that you guys can talk it out and arrive at a conclusion. Or two, if you're truly, truly unhappy, leave your partner. And I know it can be hard, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship. Those are the two best, most respectful things to do to your partner, in my personal opinion. Killer writes, this is probably the best account I have, as these messages show Deathblooms talking about leaving her partner for this victim. She also specifically talks about them being sexual with each other. Note the dates. This conversation happened literally 2 days before Blooms left for her trip to Europe with her boyfriend and his family. 2 days before the vacation, she talked to another man about breaking things up with Darcy to be with him instead. So now we have anonymous victim 2. This is someone who, similar to me, was led on by Deathblooms. Much like me, he expected them to end up dating. She displayed behaviors of claiming this person as hers and acted jealous about him, showing interest in someone else. This victim specifically was not aware that Deathblooms has a partner. So Anon2 writes, oh, well, yeah, she used to claim me as her little cub. Tomorrow I can even send she did a thing to my pup with a collar with her tag on it, and I believe a kudo board of her saying I'm her little cub. Anon2 says she has done it for at least a year. She did it with me, a few of my friends, and even went as far as claiming us to an extent. So this last screenshot is Death birthday message to him. Killer writes, it becomes very apparent what kind of relationship they had. So reading this, it writes, Cub, I know I didn't post much on there because I wanted to send to you. It's more personal and intimate. This comes from the depth of my core. I know we've had our indifferences and had a lot of things that didn't make sense. But one thing is clear and simple is that I don't want to lose what we have. The bond between a protecting cub and his succubus to protect him back and forth. I really like you. You make me feel a certain way that not many people have been able to achieve. Reason why I get possessive over you. We haven't known each other for a long time, but ever since we did, it was instant connection. TBH, I have no words to really describe it. I wanted to apologize. I've been weird. I have been going through a lot of stuffs, and I wanted you around since I'm alone AF and can be super insecure. Because people, friends, family, a lot of people have been hurting me my whole life. I'm scarred and broken, but when around you, I feel happy and safe. And not having you around, it's like I will fall into this void defenselessness. This succubus is nothing without her redacted. I wish you a very happy birthday, redacted. I do hope things will get better between us because I miss all of it, every second with you. And I am so proud of everything you've achieved until now and that you will achieve as well. We shall grow bigger together. Let's fucking rule the internet. So I will say personally, reading this message, this is not gonna lie, low-key, like more intimate than some messages I've sent my boyfriend. And I honestly will say, like, I wanted you around because I'm alone AF really implies that they're single, that Bloom is single. And to me, it does read a little bit disingenuous. And I'm just saying, throwing in my 2 cents here, okay? And if you guys don't know, by the way, I'm in a long-term relationship. I've been with my boyfriend for over 5 years now. So I've been with my partner even longer than Deathblooms has been with their partner. I'm not trying to do this as like a PP measuring contest, but I'm just saying that if I were to ever find a message like this from my boyfriend to somebody else, I am breaking up with him. Like, I'm not even joking because this is way past boundaries that I am okay with. Again, every relationship looks different. Maybe in Bloom's relationship with Darcy, they're okay with this type of messaging. I would also say to me that this is something that's very disingenuous to send to somebody when you are in a relationship and you have not revealed that fact to the other person you're talking to. I feel like this message cannot be interpreted in any other way. If anybody were to receive this, you would probably assume you're getting approached romantically by the sender. That's just how I interpret this. So here are some more messages, and this happened July 31st, 2022. Okay, yeah, people before you, but don't give me the time of effing day, like you have. But you straight up said you couldn't date someone young because people will label you as a cradle snatcher. And a Bloom writes, I mean, I've dated younger guys. Anon says, you told me you wouldn't date me because I was young and stuff, like I'm turning 22, Blooms. And Bloom says, little cub. And Anon says, what? And Blooms sent a little anime of, I guess, like a white-haired guy and a little white cat. So these messages are now 2 weeks later on August 14th, 2022. Bloom says, single Pringle A, and Anon says, are we dating? Bloom says, didn't we have a talk about you being romantic? Never mind. Anon says, I was gonna be romantic, but you told me distance, we wouldn't date. Bloom says, go be the guardian wolf. It's all good, bud. I should have known you weren't serious when you said you had feelings for me. And Anon says, I was effing serious, but you said distance, we couldn't. Like, oh my lord. 5 days after that, on August 19th, Bloom writes, mwah. And Anon says, oh, okay, phew. Bloom says, oh, you got worried I got mad? And yes, I'm entitled to special time with my special man for his special day. You're streaming in how long? Anon says, an hour doing last setups and about to have someone install a computer part. So here's some more messages between them. This is now August 20th. Bloom says, heya. And Anon says, Blooms, you are a friend, so I hope I get your support. I am talking to someone else as I'm trying to date them. I care for you as a friend, but the possessiveness may need to be turned down a bit, and you have to understand my feelings have become towards someone else. And I want to get to know to see if it works. You are one of my friends, so I hope you support me on this. And Bloom says, sure, all good, we're good. Just wanted you to know you are important. Anon says, I know, and I'm grateful because you are important to me as well. And again, sorry, some of the screenshots are out of order. So this screenshot is earlier on August. Have said we couldn't date because of distance. I want you in my life. You are my closest friend I have. Please don't go, and you are not useless to have feelings for. Bloom says, there, you said it. That's what I needed to hear. I will refrain from acting romantically on stream fine for content only. Anon says, stop mentioning stuff about content. I don't want to hear about content. Bloom says, IRL, I will behave like I do with friends, and I'll stop being mad. Anon says, Blooms, we said we could never be more than close friends because the distance. You told me that yourself. Killer writes, please note how she contradicts herself to keep him on the hook. She says she won't date him, then gaslights him by saying it's obvious he isn't serious about her, and gets upset when he talks about wanting to see someone else. The date for this time is between July and August 2022. Blooms and Darshan were definitely dating at this time. In my personal opinion, from reading this conversation, this is really messy. This honestly reminds me of like my ex when we had broken up, but then at the time I still wanted to get back with him, and he kept like pushing and pulling. Like he would push me away, but lead me on just enough so that I was still interested in him. This reads the same way to me as what he did to me. This is just how I interpret this, right? But this is a really big red flag to me, romantically speaking, right? So Killer writes, anonymous victim number 3. This person was interviewed by a friend who wants to stay anon. Anon says, hey, question. You had some talks with Deathbloom before, right? Did she ever mention she is single? And Redacted says, no, but I would assume that she is from the type of messages she was sending. Anon says, nah, I never knew she even had a boyfriend, but I don't know how well they are. Jokes or not, but they seem pretty flirtatious. Anon says, I wouldn't say she tried to date me, but definitely someone else. And somebody says, she tried to F you then? And they say, well, she tried online stuff, but I was kind of dull until they just gave up. Killer writes, this is just a short convo. This person talked to Deathbloom sometime in 2022 as well, although no specific date was given. This conversation took place in November 2023. So referring to Anon 3 talking to Deathbloom sometime in 2022, but the conversation between this person and another person talking about, oh, did you think you're single? 3 a year later. Anonymous victim number 4. This victim had unsolicited nudes sent to them repeatedly, even after being told not to do so. After being called out, instead of taking responsibility, Deathblooms excused her behavior by saying she didn't think a Vtuber would be bothered by receiving nudes. And this happened December 1st, 2022. Bloom writes, hi, are you mad at me or something? I sense you're pretty distant. Did I do something? Redacted's name. I'm not mad, I'm just uncomfortable. There's been a few times that you've sent shit unsolicited when I said something to you about asking first. So again, I'm not mad, I'm just distant because I don't feel super comfy around you. I didn't want to say anything more on it because I've said something before and I was hoping it'd stop, but it didn't. You don't need to apologize or anything else, just ask before you send stuff, and ideally, time will cure the uncomfortableness. Bloom writes, well, I'll still apologize because I didn't know about your discomfort and you should have voiced out instead of things bottled up. I also have to say, assuming this conversation is completely true and that Anon said, I've told you stop before, I'm only saying this. I always believe the victim. I always believe the victim when situations where the woman or the femme presenting person is kind of instigating things that the male victim will often go blamed or like brushed over, right? People will say, oh, you should be grateful for receiving nudes. It goes both ways. No, unsolicited photos are unsolicited photos, and they're unsolicited, meaning they didn't ask for it. So if you were explicitly told to stop and you still did it, it's very gaslighty to be like, you should have spoken up. Anon said they told you to stop. That means stop. No means no, and it's a complete sentence. So Bloom continues, but just to be sure, when you say sent unsolicited things, what do you mean? Picture venting? I would like to know so that I don't make the same mistake in ignorance again. And I think it's unfair to punish me for when I don't know what I did wrong. I am not gonna beg or anything, but if you really think about me as a friend, then it would be really appreciative of you to explain the situation properly and give our friendship another try. Else, I suppose we're just gonna be fellow content creators that know each other. You sent nudes to them. I'm not gonna judge what you do in private consensually, but this doesn't sound very consensually. They sounded like they didn't want it. The way to be like, I didn't know what I did wrong. You know what you did wrong. You lifted up your shirt and took a photo and then sent it without asking, hey, can I send you some spicy pics? You know what I'm saying? That's weird. Anon says, I mean, I'm not punishing you at all. Just stating that my lack of comfort has made me less inclined to reach out. This isn't me trying to get revenge, justice, or whatever. It's just me prioritizing my comfort. I did voice before not to send me lewd things out of the blue, and it did happen more times than the first that I voiced my discomfort. Each time you didn't ask, you just kind of sent shit, which was what I voiced the discomfort about before. I'm pretty sure I voiced again at one point, but I could have not not. Either way, I did mention it before at least once. Each time I was hoping that you would just stop doing it and that I wouldn't have to confront you about it. I'm not really bottling anything up. I'm not mad. I'm not holding a grudge. I just have a feeling of discomfort. So there were multiple instances of unsolicited nudes from Deathblooms where the other party said that they were uncomfortable. Again, I have to say this is alleged for legal reasons so I don't get sued. If we take this at face value, which I am because I always try to believe the victim first, right? And that's not cool and that's not okay. And no means no. And sending unsolicited nudes is not cool no matter what gender of the individual who's sending it is, okay? And I don't want to hear anything from you guys being like, oh, well, they should have been grateful for getting pics. No means no. Oh, by the way, ignore the outfit change. I got really warm in the original sweater I was wearing, so I put on something lighter. So Anon continues, that discomfort can fade with time, as I said, just as long as you don't repeat the behavior. And I'm open to things getting better and possibly back to comfortable friendship. All I'm asking is for it to not happen again and for you to respect my comfort levels with you and how long it might take. Blooms writes, fair enough, but I didn't think sending you pics that I put on Twitter would be such a problem. And you do, from time to time, tell me to check your NSFW stuffs. Wasn't expecting a Vtuber to be uncomfy with sexy pics, but I'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. Good luck with your stuffs. And Anon writes, and I think this is in DMs now to Killer, I don't have anything for the other times she deleted sending shit and apologizes for sending shit. I have to say, by the way, the language is so guilt trippy here, where Deathbloom says, wasn't expecting a Vtuber to be uncomfy with sexy pics. Consent is consent, okay? And somebody being a Vtuber, and even somebody being an SW, does not mean they're consenting to see random images of your stuff, okay? Just because somebody has an OnlyFans does not mean they want to see your junk in their DMs. Because somebody is a Vtuber does not mean they want to see your junk in their DMs, okay? Just still ask for consent, and I don't know why it is so hard for some people to understand this concept. So Killer writes, I implore you to imagine this happening with a male person sending unsolicited nudes to a female person, and when asked to stop, claiming she can't possibly be bothered because she's a Vtuber. This also paints a good picture of how Deathblooms acts in general, as she expects people to want her and gets sour when they don't. The date for this is December 2022. Blooms and Darshan were definitely dating at this time. Anon number 5 says, Yee just figured it was in her nature, not single though. She did say she had a rough relationship. Redacted said, could I bother you for a screenshot of that if you had it? Anon number 5 says, nah, it was in a voice call, but I can confirm she did say it was a rough relationship and it didn't seem to be going well. Redacted said, do you know how long this was? Anon says the voice call. Redacted says roughly, when R said it. Anon says, it was on the 19th, talked for roughly an hour. Redacted said 19th October, like 3 days ago. Anon number 5 says yes. Redacted said that's a damn shame. I appreciate the info. As for details, no details on the BF or anything, just stated she hasn't had sex in a while and they've been kind of distant. And Anon number 5 says how dare. I can't confirm confidently that there weren't any messages about dating. However, in the voice call, we both flirted back and forth about seeing another at TwitchCon. Killer writes, conclusion. These are merely a small handful of victims shown, but from what my investigation into this matter had gathered, there could be dozens of other victims. Not all people that have been talked to were put into this doc, either because they preferred to not have their screenshots in it or because their accounts weren't solid enough. There are also accounts of Deathblooms trying to get free art or other favors out of people by being sexual or using her platform, but not enough accounts have been gathered to create a solid case on that part. You can feel free to speak up if you have experienced this though. Men can be victims of sexual abuse. Being led on and lied to in order to solicit sexual favors out of people is, in its core, sexual abuse. Again, imagine if the roles were reversed. I don't think it's that difficult, as these kinds of scenarios have happened before, with male VTubers taking advantage of women. If this was such a case, the accused person wouldn't be allowed to set foot into this community again. Deathbloom's actions shouldn't be taken any less seriously. Every single thing she has done is something that I'm sure you could find a doc about concerning a male VTuber. Likely probably a male VTuber doing it to a female creator. Sending unsolicited news, getting sexual favors from people by using her platform or popularity, lying about her relationship status, and hiding her partner from people she gets involved with. She shouldn't get away with these things because she's a woman. It's not okay to use people for your own twisted sexual pleasure, to boost your ego, to cheat on your partner, send unsolicited nudes. Even if your partner is okay with it, why hide it and why lie about it, if not just to boost your chances to get with more people? If you are in an open relationship, you still have to disclose this to people you want to be intimate with so they can make fully informed decisions. And that's what I said earlier too about the polyamorous relationship as well. Like, nothing wrong with that in its core, just disclose it to other parties that you're trying to get involved so that, like what Killer said, they can have all of the tools necessary to make a fully informed decision. It's not consent if the other person doesn't have all the information to make a decision. Killer continues, instead, Deathblooms has claimed to be a quote single Pringle end quote, or to be in a rough relationship relationship, stating she would end it to be with someone else. It is unclear if Darshan is aware of this behavior. He could be as much a victim as everyone else who's been mentioned, or he could be aware of Deathbloom's deceiving acts and tolerate them. I do not know, and it's not my place to speculate about it. The fact remains that Bloom lies to people and leads them on for her own sick pleasure. Again, many of these screenshots are sparse. A lot of the conversations Deathbloom has with her victims happen in voice call, where it's almost impossible to keep a record. But I do hope what has been gathered here will be enough to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. It's been going on for years. It took a lot of time, effort, and courage from everyone involved to create this document. I want to thank everyone who helped me make it, especially the people who stepped forward to talk about their experience. Do not judge the victims for being led on. Judge the person who used them. And again, respect the anonymity of these people. I have chosen to take this step, and I know what it could do to my career as a VTuber, so I will take full responsibility no matter what happens. I am not trying to end Deathbloom's career either. I am only trying to make sure the victims get the justice they deserve. I had an opportunity to come out about this 2 years ago, but I didn't have enough evidence, nor the courage to step forward. For that, I am sorry. I hope that this matter can be put to rest and she is held accountable for her actions. Killer Saw VT. So after Killer Saw made the document, here's what some people had to say in the comment section. Mizu H2O writes, "I'm so sorry for what all of you have gone through. As someone who thought Blooms was a Dead by Daylight friend, and I had once admired her, I am so disgusted and disappointed in her actions. Thank you for posting this. I wish you and every victim in the doc the absolute best in the world. May you recover and be blessed with everything good you want." Little Nicto writes, "Had my encounter with her as well, and thankfully it never went anywhere. My gut was definitely telling me something was up, and I'm glad and somewhat disappointed that it was right again." Salem the Witch writes, "I got her out a while ago after we were allegedly friends, and then she started to ghost me. So I unfollowed her and made her unfollow me. So apparently this was a gut feeling. I am so sorry you had to go through this." And other people are also talking about their experience with Bloom, and I do have to say again, please take everything with a grain of salt. I want to believe these individuals, obviously, but there's two sides to every story, and in these scenarios when they're leaving little comments, we do have to take their word over Bloom's word, and we haven't heard Bloom's side of these allegations. So Pumpkin Jack, honestly, during our collab, she was very flirtatious and sexual almost instantly. I get that sometimes you act a certain way for your channel, but it was way too much. I just kept changing the subject or ignoring the sexual comments she would say to me. I'm here to make friends and have a great time while playing games, not to have my every word made into a sexual invitation. I'm glad someone dear to me was watching that stream and pointed out to me how disturbing it was watching that. They told me I need to distance myself from her, and I'm glad I listened. I have known of others she was doing this too, and I just want you all to be safe. I'm sorry this happened to many of you." Mr. Googs VA says, "I'm so sorry to hear that you were also a victim. I've had many friends tell me about their involvement with her. None have been good. The moment I entered the VTuber space, I was warned to be cautious about her. I was not aware it went this deep though." Vtuber writes, "Wishing you and the folks on doc peace of mind going forward. My only tidbit I can add is that she gave me a bad vibe the one time I raided her, not during this subathon, but another recent one this year, in which she immediately asked my community for money." Podge writes, "Admittedly, she apologized to me for things she did that made me uncomfortable recently, but I know she's toyed with a lot of others, including trying to use flirting and sex appeal to get free art and assets from some of my art friends in the past. It's very disingenuous." And then Podge continues, "I am concerned now that the apology was simply in the interest of the fact that we had to do a voice acting project together. I wasn't even going to bring anything up in the interest of being professional, but she brought it up. I don't even know what to believe anymore." And honestly, I have to say, the comments are full of more people stating that they've had some Russian or run-in with Bloom, and their experience wasn't great either. Again, these are all people's opinions and comments, and we haven't seen actual proof, I would say, from commenters, right? I just have to say, normally when people make statements about people, like, hey, here's my experience with this person, almost are never like 100% agreeing. There's always people who are on the side of the other party being like, I had a good experience with them. I'm just gonna say, scrolling through the comments, I actually have not seen a comment yet of somebody stating that they had a good experience with Bloom. I'm just saying, almost all of the comments are about more bad experiences. And then Killer Saw retweeted this comment from Vacant Vito, who writes, "I'm one of the people she did this with for art. I was struggling a lot and she was pretending to care and helping me through it to get the free art. I don't have the account anymore since I deleted it after I realized she was using me, but I'm glad this has come to light." So then after Killer posted that document, Deathblooms then went live to cover their side of the story. So we will go and cover this as well. Now, I originally intended with the VOD just to give you guys like a little bit of a summary of it. I do have to say, a lot of people were not happy with this VOD. I do think you need to hear what they say, so I will summarize the beginning part of it and then we will react to the second half because it gets very interesting in the second half. The VOD only runs for just under 1 hour, and it actually starts where Bloom starts talking about the scenario, starts at around 11 minutes. So Bloom basically says that all of this happened a super long time ago and that people were twisting things. And by the way, again, I do want to add that when I am summarizing things, please listen to the full document, the full VOD from Blooms to get their full side of the story, right? Obviously, my summary will have my perspective and some my little biases in there when I'm summarizing. Just to give you the summary, I again do want to add before we get into the rest of this to not send hate to any parties involved. We'll be watching Deathblooms VOD, and please don't send hate to Deathblooms or Darcy, their partner. Their partner Darcy is actually on this stream as well. And they also added that any tweets with their name is dumb because they don't actually have a Twitter. I interpreted this correctly. Bloom had like an alt account or something, and then Darcy was using that to leave some comments and would sign it off his name so people knew it was him. So Darcy said that for full context, due to people calling him a cuck essentially, that Blooms and them had a lot of ups and downs during the entirety of their relationship, but that they've been together for a long time. From my understanding, they've been together for around 4 years. So 17 minutes into the VOD, they were talking about this rough patch. Bloom said that she had messaged a few people, and Darcy also said that he messaged a few people as well during the rough patch, including an ex, and that he wasn't proud of it. And Darcy also said, I suppose the reason he said this is to dispel the rumors that he's a cuck, but he was like, yeah, when Blooms was messaging these people, I had no idea, but then after this kind of happened, we got back together, we talked it out, and then we decided to be together. So Bloom also said that they had a big serious talk about all of this, and remember the Europe trip that was mentioned in 2023? Darcy said that that Europe trip was actually their last attempt to make their relationship work. Now, at 19 minutes, Bloom starts talking about the free art. So Bloom says that in the free art situation that it was a lie, that they had actually paid for the artwork. And then they gave a little bit more context. So they stated there was one individual, an artist, that artist had given them free art by their own free will. And the artist said they were going through art block, some hard financial times. So Bloom wanted to reach out and commission them to help them out. Bloom said that after reaching out, the artist took 3 weeks to reply back to them, and then they agreed on what to make. The artist then sent Bloom a sketch, and Bloom was like, wait, this wasn't what we agreed upon. And then the artist agreed to then rework, and then somehow there was like a falling out. And then I'm gonna play this because there's a bit of confusion here on my end. Bloom is bilingual, so they speak both English and French from my understanding. So I don't know if English is their first language or not, so I do want to give them credit there. There could be mistranslations, right? I personally was a bit confused because during the VOD, Bloom had said that the artist agreed to give a refund. Then Bloom said they paid the whole thing. And then Bloom said there was like a partial payment. So I'm just confused as the type of payment. So yeah, maybe I interpret that wrong, right? I'm trying to give benefit of the doubt. I know it annoys some of you guys, but hey, trying to see both sides here before I make my full conclusion, right?
I paid the whole thing. They said they would refund. You remember, Han, like about the whole thing, right?
I remember it, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, after that, there was a lot of they paid partially, and what they promised to give, they did not give that.
This is what I'm just a little bit confused because Bloom said that the artist agreed to do a refund, but then Bloom said they paid in full, but then they said they paid partially. I'm now confused as to what happened. What did the artist agree to refund? Because Bloom later basically said that they didn't receive the art. If the artist agreed to refund you and you received a refund, then you shouldn't because you got the money back. Now, if you paid in full, you should get the artwork. There's been scenarios, because we cover art drama on this channel, right? There's been scenarios where like the artist wanted to refund the commissioner and the commissioner refused the refund and demanded the art. You can't do it that way, right? If the artist doesn't want to work with you anymore, just accept the money and move on. There have been cases where like people have refunded and then the artist like sent the money back, but then didn't send the... So yeah, it gets really, really messy.
Literally, and let's be honest here, guys. I could look at any DM at all from most people, look at flirtatious attempt with other people, screenshot specific things that I'm looking for, post it, and then do a claim. You don't have the full context. You don't have the relationship from the first message to the last. You don't know how the interaction began.
Basically here, Darcy is stating that, oh, this is all hearsay and that, you know, slander essentially to make Bloom look bad and that people were purposely cherry-picking bad messages. And I do agree, obviously, like bad actors could do that, but I would also have to say some of the messages didn't look great from Bloom's end. And I would need to really see a lot of context. And some of the messages, I'm like, I don't know what context would make it okay. Like stating, oh, you're a Vtuber, so I thought me sending you like nudes was okay. You know, no, what other context could be given to imply something else? Clearly showing you're sending non-consensual, inappropriate photos to somebody who said they didn't want it. And I also do have to say too, I do feel like the argument, oh, people can cherry pick messages does go both ways, because like I do understand that sometimes context is needed to make it make sense.
Okay, first of all, I'm a Vtuber, so I post sexy stuff, as well as I am a succubus, so flirtatious by nature. It is a persona. Well, naturally naturally, even IRL, very flirtatious as person. And if you were not okay, let's say you and I were talking, right? You did not like me being flirtatious. You could have just said it at the very start. Look, I'm not okay with that. I'm taken, or whatever.
I can understand that people have different personalities and different people get along, right? I have a certain type of personality. I'm very hard-headed. I'm very stubborn. I'm also very loud and bubbly as a person, but that a lot of people maybe don't like that because I'm louder than people's tastes sometimes, right? But I feel like in cases like this, you have to understand that if your personality is a type of personality that people may not like, that the burden is on you. If you know, and she knows because she is acknowledging it, you know you have a flirty personality. Acknowledge it. It's fine. That's how you are as a person. Can't be playing ignorant and being like it was 100% on them to like say stuff. That's at least my take, right? Because you know you have personality traits that may not be easily digestible to everybody. Like some people just have a much more interesting, I would say, sense of humor. And if you know you're one of those types of people with humor that maybe is not generally appealing to the masses, I feel like you can't be surprised Pikachu face if there's a bunch of people who are not the biggest fans of your humor. I do want to say that I really hope you find people that accept you for who you are, right? We all deserve that. I think people like to use the term flirty personality or the excuse I have a flirty personality as a way to cover up for pushing people's boundaries because they keep blaming it on, oh, that's just how I am. But the thing is, right, we all have personality traits and you can change. I, as a person, I'm quite blunt. And I know a lot of people don't like that because my delivery can be very blunt because I know it's not super favorable towards everybody, right? I have worked very hard to try to come off less blunt so that my conversing can be much more palatable to when I talk to people. I'm not necessarily doing it just to like appeal to the masses or anything, but I just know that, hey, I would like to be able to make my points come across better. I know that the way I naturally phrase things do not make it come across that way. So instead of just chalking it up to, I'm an abrasive person, so that's it, I can work on it. And I do find that a lot of people tend to blame their flirty personality as to why they're pushing boundaries. I'm not trying to say that that's what Bloom is doing here. I'm just saying that I have seen this with many people who like to claim they have flirty personalities. That's just what I'm saying. I've seen this with people that I've known.
It takes two to tango. It's not just one person to be blamed in this. It's a two people thing, and things could have just been discussed and talked through because we're adults, instead of like just ghosting, blocking, and then like after 2 years or many years or whatever, just going ahead and be like, hey, she's wrong.
And this is the reason why I wanted to react to what she said, okay? Because I didn't want to come on here and be like, Bloom said this, and then here's my 2 cents. I really wanted you to hear this out of her own mouth. When people say it takes two to tango when it comes to referencing sexual things. That is often a terminology that is used to scapegoat and excuse essay. I'm not saying necessarily that Bloom has committed essay here, right? I'm not trying to accuse things, so don't sue me. I have heard a lot of people who have accused of essay use the terminology, it takes two to tango, to minimize the victim in that scenario. I do understand that in some scenarios, right, it does take two people to progress the relationship, but also that's not a full analogy you can use. Because in this scenario with Bloom, a lot of the parties could not fully consent to what they were getting into because you didn't give them all the information, right? Informed consent means you give the other person all of the information they need to come to a decision. All of the information. Withholding your relationship status is not giving them all the information they need, right? You are actively lying, withholding information from them. Relationships where we've gone through rough patches like that, it's really messy. You can't even use words to explain what is going on. But if you're in a situation like that, please don't go and rope in unsuspecting outside parties into this. They didn't ask for that. I do also want to say that it takes two to tango doesn't apply when you're out here sending unsolicited news to people. You just sent it and they, what did they do? They just got it, right? The only consent, quote unquote, in that scenario that we could see, allegedly, according to the author of their screenshot, right? The anon in that scenario, was that they're a Vtuber. In the DMs, they said that they had said no multiple times and that you kept sending it. And you said, oh, you were a Vtuber, so I thought it was okay. So that's basically, that's admitting. And so the it takes two to tango doesn't really apply here.
Also, real quick, I saw one message by Dark Sovereign about the fact that our relationship was undisclosed. But does that mean that every single person online, let's be honest here, Blooms plays a succubus online. How interesting would it be if, I'm just saying, she's a Vtuber, it's less interesting if she has a boyfriend, right? And also, if you get famous online, do you really have to say your whole life how it is? Is that like, are you supposed to be property and everything that's what's going on in your life, who you're related to, who you're talking to, who you're friends with. It's not everyone's business. She's just doing entertainment, playing video games for people.
I do want to say, yes, I do agree with that statement. Surface level, right? You as a streamer are not entitled to reveal any information about yourself publicly to your viewers, to your community. I completely understand why some streamers choose to withhold their relationship status for the thought process that it could make their streams better. Do I personally agree with that statement? I do not personally. I have withheld my relationship status in the past, and I currently am very, very publicly in a relationship, right? Like I said before, I've been with my boyfriend for over 5 years now. Very happy in my relationship. Everybody knows. I am very happy in disclosing this information, right? But I can see why people don't want to do it. But I do want to say that this is beyond like just trying to not reveal information to your community. Bloom here is actively seeking and engaging in looking for relationships with people in DMs. This is where it then gets disingenuous to actively seek relationships with other people while being in a relationship and not disclosing it. I can understand you want to maintain your privacy, but that now becomes very disingenuous. If you truly want to keep your relationship status private and not do anybody else dirty by not revealing information that they need to make a fully informed decision of whether they want to date you or not, then don't seek out other partners.
And they
But
keep
people don't need to
saying they
know
keep
that.
saying like abuse. Like, how is it abuse if both people were interested into each other and there was a chemistry between them?
Okay, I will say the term abuse is a very, very strong word to use in scenarios. I'm not saying this to try to discredit any of the victims, right? I'm just saying this on top of what Bloom is saying, right? Abuse is definitely a strong word to use in many scenarios. How it is interpreted, right, by the parties involved, that's on them to interpret. I feel like a lot of perpetrators or people who initiate bad behavior in public or private like to really downplay it by being like, it's not abuse though. So what is it? You send a bunch of unsolicited photos to somebody who wasn't consenting. And again, Killer mentioned it in the document, and I do want to acknowledge this too. If the gender roles were reversed, this would look a lot different, right? If it was a male VTuber with another female creator, and the male VTuber was sending pics of his genitalia in the DMs over and over again to the female creator, and after she said no, if he kept sending it, I just want to switch the genders real quick just to put this into perspective. It is very bad. That's not good. And I do think in scenarios like that, like it could be considered SA, right?
Is that abuse?
I mean,
And I do again want to add too, it is not on the perpetrator or alleged perpetrator, the person who has engaged in these behaviors, to downplay what it is or how the victim felt it was. Does that make sense, right? Like if you caused the problem, you don't get to then turn around and be like, it wasn't that big of a problem. You didn't listen. I don't know how else to interpret that.
I don't understand this part. How is that
Yeah.
abuse?
It's pretty easy to understand. I'm going to say that.
I'm not
So,
saying like
yeah.
I did not break their heart by telling them I'm not interested, or like if I cut things. Like a lot of them are like they either they ghosted me, or we stopped things, or we just stayed friends. Well, supposedly friends.
And also, sure, okay, in a way, devil's advocate, right? You hurt a few people's feelings by flirting with them and that led to nothing. And you made them feel special for a while and all that. They were back and forths and all that. Okay, I'm just saying that as someone who, and we've all had like those weird conversations flirting with other people, right? Personally, me, as someone who tries to spend as little time online as possible, you don't want to start a witch hunt, but why are you starting a witch hunt?
I just have to say, this is why I wanted to react to her VOD specifically. Okay, just so you can experience this with me. I hate it when people say, why do you have to start a witch hunt? Why did you have to dig it up? Why don't you just don't engage in the bad behavior in the first place, and then there is nothing for anybody to dig up? If you didn't do this, Killer wouldn't have to make a document about you. I'm just saying. I feel like every time we cover these scenarios, the other party, the one who perpetrated the bad behavior, they didn't have to talk about it though. This is my take, and I don't know why the public tends to feel like my take is a hot take on this scenario. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts, okay? My personal take is, if you don't do bad shit, nobody then will call you out for the bad shit you did. A lot of times there's gray areas and things like that where, you know, both parties are in a weird gray area where both people could be interpreted as the good or the bad guy, depending on how you look at it. This is not one of those scenarios. I just want to real quick look at what this person said in chat, Maiden Shy White Wolf, because I completely agree with the statement. They wrote, mental abuse is still abuse. I know someone who is an ex-mod who you have done this to. When they said they didn't want sexual and you still pushed it. Again, these people love to just not take no for an answer. We have DMs, messages, right? I do want to add they are messages. Full context isn't shown. There could be another way to interpret it where the person explicitly said that they had told you at least once, but they said they felt like it was more than once, that they had told you no to not send them DMs. And you said, oh, but you're a Vtuber, so I thought you'd like it, or something along those lines, right? That is showing that you're actively seeing the no and you're ignoring it. I don't know what else to tell you. And I don't know why it's so hard for you to understand it.
Why would you post, like, just look for stuff what you want in the messages, of course people who are butthurt will like say only bad things. But like I said, if I wanted to crap on someone, I would also look through DMs, ask people, hey, did that person ever talk to you in that way? Send me screenshots of that message. There's people out there doing very actual bad things. And then there are things like this that happen. It's just drama.
Guys, let's make a bingo card of all of the excuses that the other party likes to give when they're caught in their bad behavior. Other people have done worse stuff. I have haters who like to cherry pick bad messages to make me look bad. It's not abuse. It's not what the victim thought it was. I swear it's different. We need to make a bingo card about this because currently this stream is hitting every single what all of these people say every time they're called out for their behavior. Textbook. Do all of these people just have like a little villain textbook they go look into every time they have to make a statement or an apology and then they just go down the list?
Like, why waste your energy on that? I'm sorry, like I'm calming down. I'm just mad.
Also,
man.
like,
I mean,
more than 5 people, right? What about poly? Do you guys like people who are in poly relationship don't like flirt and talk to other people too?
Oh my god, no. Also, so I am not poly, but we have covered this before, and I've read the comments from you guys who are poly, right? And I've tried to watch like a whole bunch of videos and things like that from people who are in poly relationships to hear their side. From what I've gathered of poly relationships, I'm not trying to speak for you guys because I am not poly, I am monogamous, right? But from my understanding, to maintain healthy relationships in a poly relationship, okay, it is not just you get to flirt with every single buddy that exists, okay? Poly relationships are even harder to maintain than monogamous ones because obviously there's more people involved, cater to, etc., right? Communication is so important in poly relationships. So important. You always have to go and discuss rules, boundaries, what's okay, what's not okay. You can still cheat in a poly relationship. You can be poly and still cheat on your partner if you step outside the bounds of what you guys agreed to be okay in the relationship, okay? Being poly doesn't mean you get to flirt with everybody in DMs. Still be with your partner, right? You guys have to discuss it. Cheating looks different for every relationship, yes, but in poly relationships, I feel from what I have heard from other poly people, you definitely can still cheat if you go outside the bounds. And let me know in the comment section if you are poly, right? How does this feel to you? But I have a feeling, y'all, it's not gonna be okay with just flirting with everybody that you're attracted to, right? There has to be boundaries, etc., communication and discussions on what's okay, what's not okay. I always hear people who are caught or doing behavior that is close to cheating, scapegoating it on, what about poly people though? She has not expressed that she's poly. She could be, she has not expressed that. I feel like poly people always end up catching strays in these conversations somehow.
And it was not like at the same time. It was
Doesn't
not
make it
happening
better.
at the same time. And a lot of them already knew that I was in a complicated relationship and they decided to proceed with it.
But again, there were people who also didn't know. And here's the thing, right? Like, you're not dumb. At least I think you're not, right? You don't give me dumb vibes. There's no way you're so dense to realize that the situation you're in is going to be something that is a big turnoff for a lot of people who would not want to pursue you if they knew the complexity of your rough relationship. Even if it was okay, let's say hypothetically both of you guys were on a break and then you guys agreed it's okay to see other people at that moment, right? This is something you need to tell the outside party so they can make an informed decision. Okay, this person that I'm romantically interested in has this really like messy thing going on and some baggage. Do I still want to pursue them? You withhold that information, you know that this is something that would be potentially a turnoff to some people, or it would drive them away and not want to pursue you romantically anymore due to it being messy, right? But you knew that and you withheld that purposely. I do not believe that Bloom is, oh, woe is me, I just didn't know, I thought they knew. I don't believe that personally.
Not like I was forcing it on them.
In a relationship that is extremely rocky, looking for other places because they're not really happy at the moment in their relationship is not a cuck.
Sorry, I just think it's so funny that Darcy is so adamantly fighting against the allegations he's a cuck. I just personally find it so funny when guys are accused of being a cuck and then they absolutely double, triple, quadruple down, fight for their absolute lives to prove they aren't. Hey, if you're into it, right? It just cracks me up every time. Like, we're completely missing the point here too. There's like much bigger allegations than you being a potential cuck.
So get it right.
Also, like,
That's too funny.
Like,
sorry. I'm just laughing because the emasculation is like screaming right now. Like he's feeling so emasculated that people are calling him that's why he's getting so defensive about this.
because they're not really happy at the moment in their relationship.
Also, like I did not go ahead and put like in my like out there in my, how do you say that, description, oh, taken or whatever, because like I don't mix my personal life and my work. And if they really wanted to know, like I did say complicated relationship, I did say that. If people like,
Here's the thing again, I completely understand not wanting to mix work and your personal life. I completely understand that. I am a full-time content creator. I understand completely that sentiment, okay? Again, this is not your work. Bloom keeps deflecting this as work, relationship, and personal life. There is no work here. We are talking about your personal life because you are trying to flirt with other people privately and pursue them romantically. That now is your personal life.
who were flirting back did not know about that. They could have asked. They never asked.
I'm getting like more and more aggressive. I am trying to calm down, but everything that Bloom says is upsetting me because it's so manipulative, right? Bloom over and over again is throwing the blame on the victim. They could have asked, how the fuck were they supposed to assume that you were in a relationship if you're aggressively pursuing them romantically? Being like, I'm so possessive, little cub, head pats, like you're my little cub. They're gonna assume that you're probably assume you're single due to that. And you making statements like, I'm so lonely, I am lonely AF, I'm all alone. If you say that, they're gonna assume you're single. You cannot play dumb here. You're not an idiot. At least I hope you're not. You are making statements like that are basically trying to defend your intelligence by saying you're not stupid, right? With some of the things you're saying. But then you turn around and be like, oh, well, I didn't know. Like, they should have asked. No, you know your relationship is a really tricky situation. A lot of people would not want to pursue you romantically if they knew about this and you purposely withheld it. And I do not believe for 1 second trying to put the blame on other people. And I'm just gonna say again, if you have notable deal breakers, you should put it all up on the table before you go and date somebody, okay? When I got with my boyfriend, I'm gonna say this, I had a really like messy situation with an ex happen right before. He knew all about it. I told him straight up, yeah, I do want to be with you, but I am worried about this scenario and this. Like, are you still okay with it? And he said yes. You put all the cards on the table and then they can still choose whether they want to be with you or not after that. That's how you build a good foundation for a relationship. So I'm just saying again, you know you have a situation that would turn people off, but you withheld it.
And like sometimes they're actually, some of them, I'm not saying all, some of them are using like banter and changing it into like something else. Yeah, we have a lot of questions to go through. I'm trying to catch up.
This is about personal photos sent to someone, whether or not posted on Twitter. If they voice being uncomfortable already and kept doing it, isn't okay.
I never got anything that like from anyone who said, hey, stop. And I've had situation where they're on stream or
wait, so are the DMs fake? She just said it's never happened, but we saw the screenshots. So are you saying the screenshots are fake? I'm very confused now.
Where the person would say, hey, I'm not comfy with you flirting with me, and I stopped directly. It's all about like voicing out. I never impose on it's just some misunderstanding and out of context shenanigans. Just let it go. Like we just wanted to like just talk it through and be done with it, because I am not one who's gonna like make a tweet long about it and keep going and on going like on and on and on. Okay,
I'm just saying, like, because I saw that a lot in the posts and comments, but calling it sexual assault, what happened? This was a conversation between two adults, the whole communication. People only said they were uncomfortable with it afterwards, like when the whole thing was being dug up. They didn't say anything. And you guys made me look at those texts just so we could like clear things up. So really.
Again, I do want to add, I again love it. The person who perpetrates bad behavior turns around and says, that's not what happens. They always say that. They always downplay the hell out of it. And of course, I do want to acknowledge, right, that the other party, there could be scenarios where one person is lying straight out of their teeth. And sometimes it could be the person claiming they're the victim. I, again, am always inclined to believe the victim. And I have not received enough substantial proof as of this point to feel otherwise.
just going through. I mean, you guys are free to think of whatever you want to. I can't force everyone to like agree with me or like listen to me. You take whatever out of it that you want. I just don't want things to continue anymore, like the drama. If you want to unblock me, unfollow me, that's really up to you. But like I apologize that they were heartbroken in the process. I apologize that they felt like a certain way, but they never voiced out to me of how they felt, so that we could communicate and sort things out. There has been ghosting involved instead of talking about it as adults.
I also do just want to revisit the whole like, oh, in the moment they were okay with it, but then they said later they felt uncomfortable. I, again, do want to add that in many, many cases of these types of sexual things happening, and SA, in the moment doesn't immediately speak up. And it happens for many, many reasons. Sometimes it happens because the person is in fear of retaliation. they were kind of like gaslit and confused in the moment. And so they didn't realize how bad it was. And it was only later when they fully processed what happened that they realized, hey, what happened to me actually wasn't okay. Any number of other reasons. There's many, many, many reasons why people voice their discomfort later. And another reason too is like some people just are not confrontational. Non-confrontational people and like people with social anxiety will already struggle to like, you know, order food at a restaurant, etc. Let alone confront you, a content creator who is likely larger than a lot of other content creators that are involved with you, if they are content creators at all, to voice concerns about your behavior.
Who the fuck expects someone to put their whole private life in public just because they are a YouTuber? That's very idiotic. Mental abuse is still abuse. It was not okay if you guys want to think about it as abuse, but I think it was like two people bantering together, two people like vibing together, and it went so far. The big thing for me is you saying wasn't expecting as a YouTuber to be an uncomfy pics when sending unsolicited when told already in the past to ask permission. I did ask, and they also sent pictures. And
I
the
mean, yeah, on
unsolicited,
some of them, she told me she has pictures of the other person who reciprocated. So.
like I wouldn't go towards someone who doesn't want me or does not want to like, you know, like anything to do with me.
I mean, this one again, bro, I need proof of your side. I'm going to be real because so far I have seen the screenshots from the other person who there are multiple times where they're saying, hey, I feel uncomfortable right now. I feel uncomfortable right now. And you literally said, oh, you're a YouTuber, so I thought it was okay, which implies that you thought no was a yes. You know what I mean? Otherwise, the DMs probably would have read something like, oh, wait, but then like we exchanged photos yesterday. I thought it was okay. You know, it would have read something closer to that, but that's not what you said. And again, like this gets into a very, very messy situation, but consent is sexy. Please just ask for consent. Like, I don't know why it's that hard, but apparently it is hard. Also, I do want to add too, for me personally, like talking about the scenario and stuff like that on stream, when you have your subathon like goal up here, I don't know, it just reads a little bit disingenuous to me. Apparently they're in the middle of a subathon currently. Just reads disingenuous when there's a big old $5,000 sub goal up like right in front of my face as you're supposedly clearing up potential SA allegations. That's just me.
Yeah, slow down a little bit, chat. Dude, I'm at 133.
By the way, a lot of people were not happy about this stream in specific, because allegedly Bloom called out their viewer count multiple times. Oh my god, we're at 133 viewers? Like, showing that you don't give two shits because you're clearly doing this for the wrong reasons. You're doing this for the views and publicity you think you can get from it, like the views. Apparently they did it multiple times. So this is the first time I've heard it, right? We're 33 minutes into the stream as of now.
Wait, question. Why the fuck does it matter whether or not someone is a cuck? That is such an assigning thing to go after. I hate the assumption so much when people see I'm poly in my relationship. The first insult someone might throw is me being a cuck. They know nothing else, but that's their first little insult. Honestly, how the hell can a sexual assault happen if it's not physical at all? It's also theirs.
They did read that comment, right? I do want to add, SA can happen even if it's not physical. There's other ways you can exploit people, like leaking people's nudes, for instance, just giving an example, right?
I apologize that I never went ahead and say, hey, I'm in a relationship, okay? Things are not going good. My apologies that I did not go ahead and say all that. I don't know what to say more.
She's not sorry at all. That is the most sarcasm-ridden fake apology I have heard. Next time I'll say it, I'm sorry, I guess, for not saying that I was in a relationship and like what? Come on. She is purposely not answering the question, okay? People's issue with her is not that she didn't disclose it to her stream. The issue is that she did not disclose it to the individuals she's pursuing romantically in DMs. Those are the people you should have disclosed it to. Stream, do whatever you want. Hide your relationship for all I care. For stream, right? Your privacy, your relationship, your boundaries, whatever. But if you are pursuing people romantically on a different level, that is not your stream. That is private DMs with people you're trying to get into their pants or whatever, right? Those people you do need to tell this information to. And how did you just find this out? She, of course, did not just find this out. She knew this and purposely hid it. I refuse to believe you are that dumb, because it's either one of two options. Either you're stupid or you knew this is something that you should have told people and you didn't, and you purposely withheld it.
Do you have anything to say, hun?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I see the points that people are making, and sure, like, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna send a sexy pic to someone, I guess you always have to be like, all right, I'm about to send something right now. Is it okay with you? I mean, sure, consent is
Yes.
important and 100%, but if two people were flirtatious for a while, talking back and forth,
No, what do you mean? Keep talking.
Yeah, you guys keep saying of like
Oh, hell no. Finish your sentence, bro. I should ask for consent, but you already know how I feel about this. I'm getting more and more heated as I'm watching this. Like, I'm losing my marbles. I guess these people are made for each other. I mean, they think the same way.
Yeah, you guys keep saying of like sexual assault. Like I am trying to understand. And like the fact that they did not voice out, I don't know.
You sent nudes to people without their permission. What else do you want to call it?
I'm not even sure I have them on my Twitter anymore. I'm not Twitter, like Discord anymore. Because I don't keep tab on all that. It just sucks, okay? But like, why wait for 2 years to then talk to me about it when they could have talked to me about it if that was such a problem? Like sometimes
Also, again, like, why do they have to talk to you about it? I'm gonna be real because you're the one who's perpetrating this behavior. You know what I mean? That's like if I rob somebody, right? Well, and then I turn around and I'm like, oh my God, but like, why didn't they come to me and ask for their shit back? Of course, they're not going to because I robbed them. Why would they come back to me and ask for their stuff? I'm gonna be real.
you do things you don't know you're doing wrong.
I'm just gonna say, you're either stupid or you know there's boundaries that you're purposely trying to ignore and sweeping it under the rug of a flirty personality and I thought it was okay because we were flirting, xd. You're either stupid or you purposely ignored it. There's only two options in this scenario.
Unless like people talk about it when there is an issue. Whichever issue, it doesn't have to be like bantering, sexual or anything. Why wait so long? If you had an issue with me right here, right now, and I always say to talk about it.
I said this before. I'm only saying it again because I'm getting pissed off again. Is that in many of these scenarios, people can't talk to you in that moment for many reasons. One, they're not confrontational like you are. Again, in the moment, they didn't realize it was fucked up. And then later they thought back about it. They're like, she sent me a bunch of unconsensual titty pics. That's actually kind of bad. And again, I do want you to reverse the genders here, okay? If it was a female who received a bunch of pee-pee pics from a dude over and over again after they said no, and they already said no, creator going to then feel comfortable confronting the guy again, being like, hey, please don't do this. So I really do not like the take that all of these people who are called out tend to use when they're like, why did they bring it up so long? Like years later. Again, if you didn't do these bad behaviors, there would be nothing for us to bring up.
The thing is, I did not know like they were taking it this way. They were heartbroken or taking it as an assault. Are you for real using your partner as a scapegoat? Nope.
I'm not a scapegoat. Our relationship is good for like 1.5 years now. So I'm just here because people were saying my girlfriend did like sexual assault on people, which...
And you know what? Okay, I'm gonna read some of the comments in chat because I think they explain it best. Moon Critter writes, the issue is that you can't understand it. That's what's the issue. You not being able to see the sexual assault and the issues is the problem because they were essayed. It's traumatic and it takes time to be able to process it and get the courage to want to bring it up. There are more than those in the dock coming forward. Your nervousness and ignorance is astounding. Yeah, Moon said it way better than I did. This is what I was trying to say. I'm not good with words as much as I try to make it seem like I am. This was the intention I was trying to convey. You said it so well. There's many reasons why people take a long time to come forward with things that's happened to them. I've had some shit happen to me in the past and it took me a really long time to come forward and say it strictly for that reason. You get traumatized, bro.
Because they were clearly scared and didn't realize that there were other victims until they heard more and more. But what if it's just people who hates my gut and wanted to just build something and go against me? That's also a possibility.
That is a possibility, but it is like a 0.000001% possibility. Like there genuinely is a possibility that a cockroach will climb up my butt tomorrow when I'm sleeping in bed, okay? Will that generally happen because the probability is so low? It likely is not gonna happen, okay? In this case, come on, like let's run the numbers, okay? Either you are a poor old victim. Oh, woe is you. Oh my God, you're just a VTuber trying to do your best succubus things. And there's all of these haters that are trying to make false accusations against you and like tear down the platform you worked so hard to build. All of these people are telling the truth or at least like partially the truth. And you are the problem. This is the same vibes when you know when people are like, all my exes are crazy and they have like 5 exes. Is there a possibility every ex that they've had is crazy? The possibility is probably extremely low though, and it's a very extremely likely chance that that person is actually the problem, right? When that many people have a problem with you, chances are you're the problem. And again, there's a saying, if it stinks everywhere you go, check under your shoe.
And I'm nowhere saying that sexual assault is okay. I'm nowhere saying that. I was just saying that I didn't know.
Now you're basically implying that it's a say. Okay, you like almost got the point here. Almost.
A lot of them knew that I was in I'm tired of repeating myself.
A lot of them, so not all of them. Out here, again, I'm just saying you can't just assume people know things. Bloom kept saying it, like I did skip like a little bit in the middle because it was just a lot of reading chat, right? Bloom did say, oh, I said many times I was in a rough relationship. Where? Did you say it on stream? They probably weren't in all of your streams, right? You needed to explicitly tell them, hey, by the way, I know you're trying to date me. I am in this rough relationship right now. Is that still okay? That's how it should have been said.
So your ex mod is part of your hate group now. I don't know who's the ex mod you're talking about. I asked, okay, I think I know who you're talking about. Maniki, I did ask Maniki whether he wanted to get safe for work or not safe for work, and he said he was okay with it. And when he posted the art, when we got the art, that's when he said he was not okay with it.
I mean, there could be a situation where somebody took back consent. Again, that's totally fine, right? Just take it down. I have a stinking suspicion it's not that simple due to the history they've had with other people. It could be exactly the way Bloom is telling it.
Like, there is a lot of mix-up of everything right now. So I wanted to ask if Deathblooms is aware who was the anonymous victim number 1. I can't even have access to that. All right, you guys are twisting my words now. I mean, it's really up to you, Zov. This could have just been, like, every goddamn, like, drama that happens on Twitter and everything could have just been solved by just 2 people talking.
I think, again, like, these people like to use the, oh, they should have just talked to me, whatever. But again, there's 5 people, at least, right? At this point, this is showing a pattern of behavior. That's why in the document Killer said they put together the doc in the first place, was due to the fact that there's a pattern of behavior here. And that is why I'm likely to believe this too. If it was just Bloom and one other person, like let's just say it was just Bloom and Killer, and they had a little thing, and Bloom didn't disclose the relationship, it was a little messy, whatever. It's not great, right? It's not good, but relationship drama. But dude, there's too many people now.
Had 139 people watching without so much looting for the resub. I've never had 139 people watching without any raids.
Look at them again, calling out the viewer count. Time number 2. This is not the time to be hee hee, oh my god, so many people are watching me.
It is okay. I accept I've made some mistake. I accept that I've made some mistake and I apologize for it, but it already happened and I apologize again because there are
Fake.
multiple people affected. He said, wait, who's OP? Said it had been.
The one who made the post.
Okay, it has been in the work. Yeah, but they could have just approached me and talked about it. And if they wanted to talk to Darcy, like they said, like they could have contacted Darcy through Instagram or whatever. It's like
I mean,
they
I did
waited.
get a message from a Steam account called "She's Cheating on You," saying
They just
like,
added you
just
with
got
that
added.
with that title, but still
that
no
was weird.
message, so nothing.
By the way, I just want to point out how crazy some people in Bloom's chat are. Like here to Scree live, Scree was somebody in chat that was basically kind of like saying, hey bro, what you did is not okay, right? Dom writes, that point, it's your fault for continuing. If a person feels they have been assaulted, common sense states that they cease to continue interacting with that person. So this kind of tells me the type of people that are in their community.
And like it's been long. I don't even have like records of all their chat because I can't find them anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them blocked, and at some point Discord doesn't let you like look for them and go through all that, and I don't screenshot every messages. Chat, again, you can unfollow me, think of whatever you have. Yes, I made some mistake. Yes, I was not like putting everywhere that I was in a relationship. Those who dated me, not dated me, like talked to me, did know that I was going through patch in my relationship. It was complicated, and me and Darcy were trying to figure out, and I was to take a decision. And I did say, if it's not working out, no one wants to cancel you. We want to know why you text multiple people under false pretexts. It's not false pretexts. We vibed in. There was banter. Things were not gonna work out with Darcy, and then I would like date them or something. And I was trying to figure shit out on my own. I get it happens in relationship when you don't know what you want.
No, Bloom keeps trying to scapegoat the fact that there was chemistry between them and the other party as to why it was okay for them to deceive them by leaving information out. As in the fact they're still in a relationship.
Double timing.
That is double timing. You were still with Darcy. You guys did not officially break up, as you did not say that anyways, right? I'm only going off of your words, and you said you were in a rough relationship. Note the word relationship. You were still in a relationship. It was a rough one. You're still in a relationship when you are pursuing other people. I'm only using what they said, which is why, again, I wanted to react to Bloom's VOD specifically. I have a feeling, there's going to be scenarios where they like to feel like people are twisting their words, like they said. You guys can hear their words and my 2 cents on top of it and come to your own conclusion.
You guys can be mad. It's understandable. You guys don't have to be scared of me, not because I have bigger followage that I'm gonna like make my community chase them. If this was not even supposed to be like a fucking like a witch hunt. Wait, you're telling me, guys, you've never been in a relationship, right? And then like you fell for somebody else?
Deja says, shouldn't you have waited to sort out what's been going on with your relationship before flirting with multiple people? If you're ever in a scenario where you're in a relationship and you're like actively falling for somebody else, you should I don't know, break up with your partner. I don't know, right? One or the other. possibly, not actively date them when you are still with your current partner. Bloom keeps trying to emphasize healthy communication while showcasing no aspects of healthy communication on their end. As in, they keep saying, oh, but like the victim should have talked to me. Let's put all of the burden you've put on the victim and the expectations you've put on the victim on yourself. You expected them to reach out to you, to talk to you when they didn't feel comfortable with their flirtations. So why didn't you reach out to them and talk to them about your relationship status in the beginning and disclose that information? Takes two to tango, as he said, so shouldn't the conversation flow both ways as well? Shouldn't the communication flow both ways? I'm playing devil's advocate using Bloom's words, right? I'm just saying, that's what they said.
And then like you question, you're like, what should I do? How do I do this? And it's not like nobody's gonna give a damn. I would have listened to them if they talked to me about it, sort things out, but they never did talk.
Every perpetrator, by the way, says this. They always say, I would have listened. I would have done this. I would have done that. Why didn't you just tell them you were in a relationship? Why didn't you say accept no as an answer the first time they said no? I don't know. Like, Bloom has so many expectations for the victim, but they have like absolutely zero expectations for their own behavior. I just think it's interesting, right? You expect that much out of them, then expect that much out of yourself too. By the way, how are we to believe that you're gonna listen if somebody told you no and you didn't listen to that? How are we gonna accept that you would listen to them when they tell you that they're uncomfortable? We again have DMs, right? Where people have said they're uncomfortable and you push back as to why. Like here, I mean, Anon says, you know, you did some stuff and I don't feel very comfortable around you. And you're like, oh, I'll apologize, blah, blah, blah. But to be sure, what did you mean? Photos, venting? I'd like to know. And I think it's unfair to punish me when I don't know. Like, you're demanding information. If you really think about me as a friend, then it would be really appreciated of you to explain the situation properly and give our friendship another try. So which is it? You would listen to them when they speak up about their discomfort? Would you continue to pressure them to be friends with you and explain things that they don't feel comfortable really talking about? I mean, which is it, right? It can only be one.
My apologies for, since you guys like were hurt by it or you lost trust or anything.
Apologizing for your feelings being hurt. I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry you felt this way. That's two different things. They're truly like collecting the infinity stones of bad apologies and statements 101.
Darcy was aware. There are people that I was bantering with, that I had a thing with, knew that I was in a complicated relationship and yet decided to continue the thing with me.
A second though, I thought Darcy said at the beginning that he didn't know when it happened. Maybe Bloom's referring to afterwards. Now Darcy knows, right?
Dude, you can be attracted to a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's different though, right? Like, are you poly? You didn't say you were, so I'm going to assume you're not, because otherwise you would have said that like 2 minutes into the video. We are now 51 minutes into the VOD and you haven't mentioned that you're poly yet. You said, what if I'm poly, but you didn't say you were. And sure, you can like definitely catch feelings for other people, but again, communication is healthy. If you are falling for somebody and you are actively in a relationship, I would really hope that you either tell your partner or you leave them for the other person, because you were actively making plans and DMs to leave your partner for somebody else.
No, I'm just talking about, like, I've never had 163 people watching my stream on its own without having a raid. That's all I'm saying. Just to come for drama and all those people are here. That's what I was saying. Just to watch like reaction and ask question.
Third time the viewer count is mentioned. You know, that's new in the bingo card. I haven't had people make an apology statement on stream and then like XD laugh about the viewer count. That's new. I'm gonna add a new bingo square.
For me to flirt with someone, it had to be back and forth. If the person emitted the same vibe, and if at the very start they told me they were not okay with it, then I should have stopped.
But also, I don't know, right? Again, we had people in the comments, and I will say these are comments, so that's gonna be their side. You will have your side of the story. But there are other VTubers in the comment section saying that they collabed with you and they felt very uncomfortable with how sexual you were straight out the gate, and they were very uncomfortable, they said. I would imagine if they were very uncomfortable, they weren't giving the same energy back. Did you hear his little like yawn bark? So I don't know, right?
You are to think of whatever you want. If you want to hate me, you want to unfollow me, you want to side with them, it's really up to you. I am not gonna do any witch hunt. There's not gonna be any Google Doc or anything. You are free to think of what you want. It was just like a freaking two people bantering and it went wrong. And it was like back then when I was way younger and stupid.
I'm curious as to how old they are.
Fenris, I can reply to your question in DMs if you want. Look, it is what it is. You guys are angry. Some of you are angry. I again apologize. I have made mistake and I am learning from all that. But yeah, this was supposed to be like a very short stream to just talk about it.
So after that stream happened, we have this tweet from Killer Saw writing, quote, I don't mix my work life and personal life together, end quote. You literally tried to force a poly relationship on someone fairly recently. And in these DMs, and this is May 18th, 2024. Blooms writes, I do the biting, yeah, but not the blood sucking. I have my own way of tasting, if you know what I mean. And then in reply to a message Deathbloom sent earlier, reading, "You should probably cuddle her in bed right now instead of talking to me," Redacted said, "She's in my arms as we speak, watching me say goodnight to you." Bloom says, "He kiss her goodnight for me. I am excited for a collab as well. Can you just ask her what game we're playing?" Redacted said, "We are not poly, though I do understand that misconception. We are both very lewd and sus people, and we enjoy talking the way we do. Both also very affectionate. We allow each other the freedom to essentially do and say basically anything in public formats, DMs relatively SFW, unless discussing projects, i.e. no sexting or trading IRL nudes. But much anything else is basically fine. I could never let someone else try to lay claim to my wife in earnest. I'm too territorial and possessive for that." Bloom says, "That's what I thought, really," which is perfectly understandable and I respect it. Anon says, "It's a discussion we might have someday, but for now we are comfy knowing that we are each other's greatest priority and that nobody can take us away from each other." Bloom says, "Aren't you the sweet one? How's the wife doing?" Anon says, "The sweet one always tastes the best, no? And she's doing good. Work is kicking her butt this week, but she's looking forward to her time with you on Monday. Was all giddy about it earlier. Was kind of adorable." Bloom says, "Well, I'll have to taste and see how sweet you can be." Yeah, Redacted works a lot, it seems like. And in reply to the "I'll taste and see how sweet you can be," Anon says, "For you, I'll offer a sample whenever you wish to partake, let you sink your teeth in and get a good taste." And then so Bloom says, "That's adorable and precious," in reply to the comments that Anon stating about, we might talk about being poly down the line, but for now we are comfy knowing that we are each other's greatest priority and that nobody can take us away from one another. Or as I like to put it, she avoided my warranty so she can't return me. And then Anon says, "I do prefer precious over other words, so I thank you for that. But yes, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm excited to watch you make my wife absolutely melt, and we should definitely plan something together sometime soon, even if it's not just us two, but with Redacted as well. I must retire from my evening as I'm struggling to message with one hand since Redacted has stolen my other arm and I should probably get some sleep." Bloom says, "Good night, Redacted." As a comment, these are some more screenshots. This is back to the message that Anon stating, "I'm more of a visual learner, so maybe you could show me sometime." Bloom replied, "I think me and your wifey can show you plenty." Oh, this is insinuating something interesting. Oh, one more thing. I wanted to see with her if she wanted to get art together. Anon said, "She says whatever my good succubus desires to play. And I would love extra lessons if you would like to have my wife help you demonstrate." Bloom says, "You guys come as a package and I adore the wife a lot. Can't figure out what games, honestly. I'm tired of Dead by Daylight, Lethal Company, Duo is so-so." Raza added, "I'll be honest, none of this seems worth posting about. Maybe I'm missing something, but these DMs don't seem to insinuate what you're getting at. She asked about the poly thing, respected the response, did light flirting that the recipient seemed receptive." I personally, in this one set of DMs, do agree that it seems to be very mutual amongst everybody. So I think in this scenario, I'm not getting the trying to force a poly relationship. Like, it seemed like Death was like trying to probe at it. Anon said, "Oh no, it's not like that." And then Death said, "Oh, that's cool and that's adorable and precious." In this scenario, the other DMs are giving a lot. But in this set of DMs, personally, I interpret this as pretty respectful. And then Killer added, "Bragging about your viewers while you're being called out for some serious shit is effing insane. Like, who does that?" Kurami adds, "And keeping the ads on all the while. Sweet revenue off your victim's pain." And Killer adds, "I appreciate everyone who has been reaching out to me. I'm doing all right. I'm just overwhelmed because I never believed that this information would never become public or that people would believe me. I only want justice for myself and the other victims. I need to do this so I can move forward with everything because I genuinely have had nightmares over this for the past 2 years. And now I think they're gone. I'm finally able to move on and heal. I'm finally free, and so are the other victims." And everybody's being so kind, stating, "I'm proud of you." And we do have this tweet from Cherry Berry showing what a lot of people are thinking, right? "Guilty as charged, ran from responsibility, has yet to apologize to her victims, noted the viewer count at least 3 times. I do not see anything that was redeeming about that stream. I am literally all for letting people apologize, letting them take accountability, and giving them the chance to do better. She didn't even apologize. She isn't sorry. If you were a victim, I am sorry you went through this. Sexual assault and abuse are real and should never be taken lightly, no matter who the abuser is. Nobody asked to be abused. Thank you to the people who DM me and shared their own stories with me. No matter if you choose to go public or keep it private, you're brave for speaking up. Deathblooms deserves no forgiveness after that stream just now. Also, her boyfriend is whipped as F. Somebody please help him." And the VOD. And Cherry has grabbed a VOD of that stream as well. And also, we have other people coming out as well. Runeus Inferno says, "Men can be sexually harassed too. I was victim number 4 in this doc. Never said anything because I thought there was no point. I assume no one cared because it's not the typical. It's a woman doing it to a man. But I don't want Saw to face this alone. Please stand by Saw, commend his bravery." And Battle Lugosi says, "I'm so sorry you had to go through any of that. Just know a lot of people do care, and just because they're a woman doesn't make it any better or okay. You and Killer Saw are both very brave for coming forward. Sending sending virtual hugs. Okay, I think we've wrapped this up. So finally, I do want to say a couple of things, right? Obviously, in every story, there's two sides and the truth. You can come to your own conclusions after seeing everything that I presented to you, and you can also search for all of these documents yourself. I'll have everything linked as best as I can in the comment section below. I do want to acknowledge that, please, let's just take a look at all of this and flip the gender roles around, okay? So many times, male victims of SA feel like they can never speak up about the scenario, right? SA victims already feel like they cannot come forward in general, but especially male victims, even more so when the perpetrator is female, because a lot of times people will just blow over their situation and what happened and chalk everything up to, you should be grateful, or it wasn't SA, or you're a guy, so like, how's that possible? Men can get SA too. I really just want to acknowledge that. And I feel like if the gender roles were reversed, the public outcry towards Deathblooms would be a lot louder than what it potentially is now. Again, I'm not saying to go and send hate to anybody. Please do not do that to any parties involved, okay? Personally, really hope that Deathblooms can learn and grow and be better as a person. Doesn't seem like they will, but I hope they can. What they're doing is not okay. They have been playing the ignorance card this entire time. I do not think they're stupid like they're trying to claim they are. I think they knew what they're doing, and I hope they learn, be better, and stop doing what they're doing. Referring back to Killer Saw as well, I don't want to hear a narrative of people being like, oh, he made this document years later, da-da-da-da. I said this before in the video, and I just want to reemphasize this again. SA victims will come out later, years later, for many reasons, including being traumatized, including being confused and disoriented at the moment that it happened. A lot of times, SA victims don't even realize they're victims. I feel like especially if you are male and the perpetrator is female, because socially, we are conditioned to believe that that is more okay, but socially, we're vibe and conditioning there. And also, Killer literally said in the document, the reason they came out with this is due to the fact that this is a pattern of behavior Blooms has shown, and that they indicated that they wouldn't have potentially made the document if it was just them. But because it's a pattern of behavior with so many different creators and people that are involved, that's why they made the document. And again, when victims come forward and tell their side of the story, I really just want to ask that we and hear their side. We've already heard Bloom's side, so if any other victims come out, please give them grace and time and listen to what they have to say. I'm really sorry to Killer Saw, to Runius Inferno, and anybody else that was affected by Deathbloom's actions. Only you guys can accept or unaccept, I guess, Deathbloom's apology, and to me personally, it was not an apology at all. And I hope that at least these creators can move forward and receive support from what they've gone through. So anyways, what are your thoughts on this entire scenario? Do you think it was a misunderstanding, or do you think Deathblooms is definitely perpetrating a lot of really bad behavior here? I personally think it's the second. And again, please be respectful in the comment section below. If you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribed. Also, I do stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos.